Shall we begin?
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the More Than Just Keto podcast. This is episode... I was about to say I'm one of your hosts, Molly. Okay. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to the More Than Just Keto podcast. I am one of your hosts, Molly.
Hello, friends, and I am your other host, Ashley. So we know that one of the ways we collect data is by the scale, and we actually have an entire episode about the scale.
Yep.
So we're not going to spend a ton of time there, but that is one of the most common ways that we measure, and I'm going to say this with heavy quotations, success in our community is with the scale. But there's a ton of other ways to collect data on this journey. We're going to spend some time talking about that. A lot of the ways you might not even think are that important, or why does the data matter? Or do I really need to be tracking all these things? And we're going to get into that. So the scale is one tool of measurement, and there's taking your measurements. There's using your food scale. There's so many different ways you can collect data to help you figure out really where you're sitting with your journey, not just the scale.
Can I just add this? Because this is something I have been doing a lot of in the last few weeks, because my scale is 9 pounds up from where it was at my lowest last year.
Yeah.
So I'm like, am I going crazy? Why is it so up? It just kept going up. So I would pull pictures and take new pictures, put them side by side. I'm definitely not bigger. I don't understand what's going on here.
No, definitely not.
So if I only looked at the scale to see how I've done with my weight loss, I would be so disappointed, and I might even be discouraged and quit. But because I have pictures, I take measurements, I have clothing that I'm looking, I have clothing that I try.
Did you try on?
Let me try these pants on again. Are they too tight? No, maybe in the booty a little bit, but they're not tight in the waist. They're not tight in the areas that I'm trying to get smaller. So it's very important to go beyond the scale. Go beyond the scale that gets your weight. Because here's the thing, and we might have said this in the first episode. If not, even if we did, we're going to say it again. The scale measures bones, muscles, fat, water, like all of it in one lump sum. So you don't quite know how much fat is on your body just from looking at the number on the scale. So you must go beyond the scale. You have to go beyond the scale and try, like Ashley said, measure, get a tape measure and measure.
Yeah. There's a lot of shifts that happen on weight loss journeys, right?
Yeah.
We burn fat in different places, and water weight is a lot of times present. It comes and goes depending on, especially if you're experimenting with your food, you're trying things. I know for me, I felt really bad so long that I really wasn't aware of how food made me feel. And that might sound so strange, but I was not aware that maybe certain things that I ate were making me feel bad, because I felt bad all the time anyway.
Right.
So I couldn't tell the difference between one thing or another.
When feeling bad feels normal. That's what we talked about.
And we did that episode,
it does feel normal, right?
It just feels totally normal. And you really can't separate where the good and the bad is when it's just all feels the same. So now I know that when I eat certain things, or I'm insensitive to certain things like sugar, alcohols, I could have never told you before, I will retain water, or if I do a workout that's extremely taxing and hard, my body holds on to twice the water that it would have.
How do you know this? Because you collect data?
Because I collect data and not feelings.
Not feelings, because you're paying attention. You're weighing your food, using the scale for your food, for your portions. You are knowing that and you weigh yourself in the morning. So when you have eaten whatever the sugar, alcohol, you know what you had the next day, you're swollen, you have some water weight or whatever, not swollen, but you have some water weight. Because of your data, not because of how you're feeling, but because of what you know.
Like, what's the thing?
That's it.
And then the thing.
And then what do? You don't feel horrible.
No,
you
I
don't
just
feel like, what did I? Yeah. you go, well,
I'm
maybe
like,
sugar
oh,
alcohol isn't so
I'm
great for me.
not going to eat that again. Or, okay, I know next time when I eat this, this is what's going to happen. So what
Expect it,
happens,
right?
right? So what happens is my emotion gets disconnected from the choices and the foods that I'm eating. I'm
Because you're
able to then,
learning.
exactly, because education is so key. And I think this is why you and I, and we've said this a million times, we'll probably preach it till the end of the world.
Yeah.
It's so important to track.
Yeah.
You don't have to track forever. That's not like, if you don't want to do that, that's just something you don't want to do. You don't have to. But do you know what you're eating? How do you know what you're eating?
Right.
How do you know what the consumption really looks like, especially in the beginning? As you go with time, I know many people who've stopped tracking, they get into more of a maintenance place with their lifestyle, and they eat a lot of the same foods, and it becomes very easy.
Right.
But
Right.
in the beginning, how do you know how to transition out of your old lifestyle to your new? And how do you know if it's working or if there's changes that need to be made if you're not
Right.
collecting any of that data?
Absolutely. Listen, I want to talk about this more about what you just said, like when you're going through your journey. And we talked about this last episode about evolving. Well, I am going to speak for myself right now to say one of the things, because of how my goals have changed, is that I am eating more protein.
Yeah,
Okay.
me too.
Right. And so I'm having to track that, and I'm having
Mm-hmm.
to do the research and learn what foods have more protein. And then I'm using my carb manager and I'm tracking it. And this is where we're going to talk about the feeling, because I was just telling Ashley about this earlier, because I went through this today, actually. So I have planned what I was going to eat. I had planned what I was going to eat the entire day. I had it all situated. I'm going to have to hit certain macros because I have a goal. So in order to reach that goal, these are the macros.
This is
It's
what you need to do.
just science.
Yeah.
It is nothing feelings. This is what this is A, this is B, then I'm going to get.
This is what I need. Period.
Right. So now I'm going through it, right? And so by the time I get to like the third or fourth meal, maybe I don't feel like having that. Maybe I feel like having something else.
Yeah.
But then that's a feeling, right? So that would be emotional. Instead of acting on that emotion, knowing I'm tracking, I am collecting data because I am working towards something, I decide, got to have the protein, Molly. You got to have the protein so everything lines up properly. Otherwise, you're going to mess it all up. So then I decide not to be emotional and eat what I feel like eating, and instead eat what I decided I was going to eat. I eat that. I'm full. I don't think about the emotional feeling of wanting the other thing anymore, because I made the decision that's going to be the best for the plan I have, for the outcome that I want. And that's what it's going to boil down to. You have a goal, you have a plan, you have an outcome you want. It's not going to just happen. You have to do what needs to be done to get there. If you're wanting to get into ketosis, there are some people who they need to quit looking at calories. Quit looking at calories. Get into ketosis.
That's always a recommendation that
for the record, Carb Manager, you can turn off the calorie count and just look at that. So a lot of people struggle to get into ketosis because they think they need to go low on the calories.
And I always recommend, if you are struggling, there's some data that you need to just be okay with the numbers being higher or different than what you had expected.
Right.
The point of the journey is to last as long as you can. Right. Mm-hmm. And the hope is that you turn it into a super long journey with no ending. Right.
Right.
But if you're too hard on yourself in the beginning, if you are trying to gain every ounce of knowledge before you get started, that's not going to happen.
Right.
You're never going to start. Mm-hmm. And you're often going to stop before you even get started, or you're going to stop shortly after.
Right.
And I always recommend track the foods. Just don't worry so much about your calories. I mean, I had a lot of calories back in the day when I was losing weight in the very beginning.
Yeah. Depends on how much you have to lose.
2,000. I was eating 1,900.
Right. You can't eat 1,200 calories if you are needing to lose 60 pounds or 50 pounds or whatever. You cannot.
You're going to burn out on that method. And the problem with that is your metabolism is going to tank, and it's also going to stop adjusting and just go into that mode of like storing fat or not burning the energy properly. You can really mess up your metabolism if you're not looking at things from a perspective of health as well. It's like, how do I lose weight, continue to lose weight? Because you are going to have to you're going to have to lower those calories over time.
Over
If you're
time.
starting at 1200, where are you going to go?
I mean, 1200.
Where are you going to go? There's that room to go down is so low. And this is why I recommend looking at what you're eating before you make changes. You may be eating 3,000 to 4,000. So 2,000 is a major
change. Right. And you know what else?
Right.
If you're eating 2,000 calories, again, we're talking about if you've got plenty to lose and you're just starting. We're not talking about like right now, I couldn't eat 2,000 calories and lose weight. It's not going to happen. Yeah. But there was a time that I could have, but I'm just saying, if you are requiring more food than what you're eating, all that's going to happen is you're going to get hungry, and then you're going to eat too much one day, and then you're going to get discouraged because you ate too much, and then you're going to start again, and then you're going to try 1,200 calories again, and then you're going to get hungry again, and then you're going to eat again. Eat enough. If there's something I have learned this last year more than ever, it's eat enough.
Being satisfied is such an important part of the journey.
Right.
Making sure you get enough food, but also in the beginning, don't worry so much about the calories. The carbs matter more.
Yes.
They matter more.
Ketosis,
matter much, much more. If you want to get in ketosis,
and then
don't worry about the calories.
And then getting into ketosis makes it easier, because then if you've done that, then you're not, that addiction you have to the carb has now subsided. So now you can start adding food again and actually check your calories and, things like that.
Then you can start making adjustments. In the very beginning, I just tracked my food, and my carbs are the only thing.
That's what a lot of people say. Mm-hmm.
And then I gained more knowledge, and I started educating myself. And I was really, really interested it does take time, and it takes wanting to know the information. It takes wanting to collect the data, seeking that information on yourself.
Right. So you just triggered a thought in my head, because this is something that, again, this is all recent stuff. For me, I was recalculating my BMR because I had read some things, and I was like, let me retrack it or recalculate it. So I was sitting there and working on it. So I put in my weight, I put in my height, and then it gave me a number, and I was like, it was 1,600 for the right. I got to put this out there because it's important to say it was 1,600 something. I was like, for BMR, I was like, I need to put in my age. So that was my height and my weight.
Right.
Female. It was those three things.
Right.
Activity as well. I just hadn't put in my age. When I put in 48 years old, it dropped down to 1,300 and something. I was like, wait a minute. So I went back in and I typed in 25 for age. It went back up to 1,500. Then I put in 35, and then it went down a little. Then 45, it went down a little. And I thought, wow, now there's something a lot of people miss. Here we are.
Your metabolism is not as active.
But here we are sharing our macros and what we're eating and giving advice to other people on those types of things, when the reality is every little thing matters for that particular person. When we're sharing, I know for you and me, we're not doing it to teach other people. We're sharing our journey. We're sharing what worked for us.
Yeah.
We're hoping to inspire, and we're giving our information. And I think we say over and over again, I can't tell you your macros. I can't tell you, what you need to be doing. First of all, I'm not, we're not coaches or any of that kind of thing. But secondly,
doctors or nutritionists,
any of that stuff. But we just share our experience. But and we say this over and over, you have to experiment with yourself.
You have to be your own experiment.
Your data. Use your data for you. So I just I see that in our community, and I just think
that's why this episode is so important to us, because it's about collecting data for yourself, not the data that other people have collected and sharing with you.
Right.
That's wonderful. And that's so helpful, because it makes you understand that there are tools out there.
Yeah.
There are ways to measure that you haven't thought of. There are
things
and steps that you can take.
Mm-hmm.
And, when we're sharing here, it is about the emotional journey more than anything. Obviously, with the weight loss, but those go hand in hand, and the mindset. And we share so much of that because we realize that no matter where you are in time and space, that is something that you need. Your mindset has to be right. You have to want to do the work. Those things can be shared with anyone for any reason and can be applied to any part of your life, a lot of them, and are helpful, right?
Right.
But in order for you to be successful, you have to know what your data is. Right. And like you said, it's so specific. And that's why that chart of women who all weigh the same, but all look very different exists. And that's why no two people can follow the same eating plan and have the same results.
No.
It's so singular in the way that we need to collect that data and use that data. And you can get advice, but you really have to do it for yourself to understand how your body's reacting to the things that you're doing.
Yeah. A couple gals in our community, Jenny was sharing how she can eat oatmeal, right? And she measures her blood glucose and also her ketones.
Right.
She still stays in ketosis, whereas Pamela cannot.
Right.
Eating the same thing, two completely
separate bodies that respond completely different. And that,
and you cannot go by somebody else just to decide, what they're doing to make your own decision.
You kind of have to take everything that you see as a suggestion and not a say all. You have to take everything that you see as, oh, that's a good idea. I should try that on myself.
Right.
And see what my results are. But once again, if you're not collecting the data, how do you know if what you're doing is working?
Yeah. Well, I was about to say this, the more data you collect and the more consistently you're collecting that data, the truer picture you're going to have. And the truer picture you have, the overall picture takes the emotion out of it.
Yes.
It takes the emotion out of it. You're just looking at the specific information and the specific results specifically to you.
And instead of an emotional journey, it's more like puzzle pieces that you're trying to put together.
Right. That's
and your brain really starts to diagnose that and say, okay, I've got this here, that there, this. Well, that didn't work. Take that out. Put this one in.
Oh, I love that.
Oh, that's right. That fits. Right.
That's
it's kind of like a jigsaw puzzle, right? The pieces have all these different parts, sides, and they look like they could all connect, but you have to figure out which one is yours.
Yeah.
Think of it like that. Emotionally, you can't solve the jigsaw with your emotions.
Never.
You have to have some action behind that, right? You have to try things over and over and over again. The pieces have to see if they can fit over and over and over again. The data part of you that is trying the piece and putting it back and getting another piece and putting another piece back and trying that one.
Yeah.
That's you collecting information. That's using your data, your knowledge, your education, and your experience, instead of your feelings to drive your journey.
Yeah.
That is a huge key to success.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. Did you just think of that? Because that is brilliant. That was brilliant. Wow.
I'm impressed with myself actually right now because that was really good.
Really good.
As I was listening and I was thinking, I was like, you know what? My grandmother, she has this puzzle that she's had for so long. And it's all triangle pieces. And it's only 3 animals. The whole thing is only 3 animals. And every time we go, we all try it because it's so hard. And only a few of us have done it a few times. But you have to try that piece over and over and over and over and over again until you get those pieces right. And that's what it's like. And
it is. It really is.
I was like, it's like puzzle pieces. Like you can't get caught up in like, oh, that's not going to solve your problem.
Yeah, you're just going to throw the whole thing.
Right. And so then that just made me think that's like a jigsaw puzzle. You have to continue to come back and forth and move things around.
Yes.
Until you're like,
you have to be willing to change it, move it, turn it, try it over here, try it over here. Same way with yourself. You got to be willing to try the different things. And here's another thing. Never, ever, ever, ever does anything good come out of acting upon emotion. It just doesn't, because emotions, they flee.
For kindness.
Well, it's kindness an emotion or an action? Is that an emotion?
It's kind of both, huh? It is an action, I guess. I don't know.
You're so specific.
We keep moving.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want to react out of emotion.
We don't want to react.
Fear. You don't want to react.
We want to act out of education, right? We don't want to react. That's
right.
Like you said, you don't want to react.
Yes. So at this point, a lot of you might be wondering, how do you collect data and not collect feelings? And we do have an answer for that. The number one thing you're going to have to do is have those conversations with yourself.
It starts with showing up. It starts with understanding that that's what you're doing. Like I said, it starts with knowing that there's a puzzle that you have to solve it. You're the puzzle. You've got to solve it. When you start showing up for yourself in a different way, you start changing your behaviors. Right. And so I think a major, major part of this is saying, okay, I know that I'm going to step on the scale today and I might be disappointed. I cannot let that derail me. If it's going to, don't even do it. Just move on. Just continue on. You have got to get to a place where you're in tune with yourself on how you're feeling. Remember that you're not always going to be motivated. Right. That's a feeling, right?
Yes.
Once again, feeling. So you've got to have discipline as your plan B. Plan A is the sun is out, you are pumped, you're doing the thing, you're tracking, you're weighing, you're fine, it's all good. But what about when it's not?
Right. And that will happen.
It will happen. It happens to me all the time.
It happens to me quite often.
Your default mode has to be discipline.
Yeah. Determination.
And determination.
Followed by action.
Action. Those are actions.
And
the motivation is a feeling.
Yeah.
The discipline and the determination are actionable things that you can put in place.
Right.
That's who shows up when the motivation isn't there.
And the more you do it, the more
repetition.
It becomes a habit.
It does. And a part of your lifestyle, and not so much something that you are trying to figure out or trying to get around or trying to
avoid
or right. You know, it becomes part of what you're doing to get the results that you want to get. And also sometimes not get the results that you want, so you can make other choices. And we start to move away from, oh, that didn't work and I did it to, okay, that's not working. So I'm going to give it this amount of time. And then I'm going to shift.
See how you didn't even, the first one you sounded emotional. The second one, you just sounded,
matter of fact, right?
Matter of fact.
This is the data because I'm looking at what I've collected and I am then making a choice to pivot from there. Well, that didn't work. Let me pick up the next piece and try it again.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
The first one is all about how you're feeling and how you're discouraged.
Yeah.
And if you keep doing that, you'll be in that same place. It's a cycle.
Yeah. Something I said to you earlier, and I loved what you said back. I was saying that I had heard someone in the community say, you know, this whole like health journey is a full-time job. And you said it is. And it is. But you also said, but it's the most important job
of all. It comes before your job. It comes before your family. It comes before anything. It has to come first because you have got to take care of you first.
Yeah.
You cannot take care of a single soul, another life, no matter if it's a pet, a kid, a husband, a family member. You cannot serve another person unless you serve yourself first.
That's right.
If you have nothing to give, you have nothing to give. And if you don't make yourself the most important part of every single day, the first thing you wake up and think about is yourself. You have got to make that a priority. And as mothers and as women, that is one of the hardest things.
Yeah. I was going to say, people hear that guy going, I could never do that. That's not right. That's so selfish. Well, you know what?
Yeah, there is a time where you might have to get a little selfish.
Selfish is not a bad word.
We've
made it a bad word.
We have. But you know what? You know what was selfish? Cutting my life short. You know what's selfish? Not taking care of myself, not playing, not enjoying, self-loathing. That's selfish. Wow, because I had a choice and I made that choice, right?
Mm-hmm. Until you made different
You know
choices.
what's selfless? Taking care of myself to the point where I have an abundance of extra to give to others.
Yeah.
Not only, and the podcast is just one of these things that we give freely, that we love to share, that we love. But my kids have a mother who can play and run and laugh and has energy. And my employees at work have somebody who's there every day, ready to grind, go, 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 go. My husband has somebody who's always up for an adventure and looks for the sparks in life.
Yeah. It carries over. We talk about that so much. It carries over, and it's important to put yourself first. Yeah.
It's so important. So, we get these little things in our head that tell us, oh, don't take care of yourself that way, or don't do this, or don't make time for yourself. If you don't, there's not much left of you.
It's true.
To share with anyone.
So yet another tough love episode, but these are needed. I think they're needed more and more. And I'm glad we're giving them. Aren't you glad we're giving them?
I feel
we need to know if y'all like these or not. You need to tell us. Are y'all enjoying this tough love?
It's always coming out of a good place. And
always out of love is the key word in there, because we care, because we've been there.
Yeah, and so I have still been there, and
we
I
understand.
never want to be back there. Yeah, we do understand, and we don't want to be back there. And we know that there are so many people out there that feel the same way that we did. And we know so many people that feel the way we do now, and they're like, yes, preach it like that.
Yes, we're getting a lot of encouragement. People do like this. They want us to keep saying this. Either way, we're still going to keep doing it.
I mean, it's just who we are.
It's just part of us. It's just,
I think as we go on and the seasons get realer and realer and more honest, I think more and more will come out. So hopefully,
I agree. I hope so. Keep going. Keep going. Yeah. But now we got to stop. So we're going to say goodbye, and we're going to thank y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we are going to see you on the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us today. You can find and connect with us over on Instagram at More Than Just Keto. Don't forget to subscribe so that you never miss out on the fun. We'll see you next time.